This time of year, fits are hard to find. Are they hot? Are they cold? We're going to go through them all today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. Make sure you check them out. Right now, FanDuel customers, new customers, are going to get $150 back in bonus bets just for getting a $5 bet that wins. Go check out FanDuel. You can also check out Chris over at KC Chiefs Corner. That is his Substack where he's running down all the stats and the cap and the things that you're very, very interested in right now. I'm over at NFL 33, breaking down the team building stuff, all the draft content, as well as all the content that will come from RogueAPC.com this year. Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, where we have the athletic matrix for the draft class, all the production, and our film grades. Don't miss that. And you can get that much more over at RGR Football. If you want on the text line for breaking news, when something does happen, we'll put it out at 816-350-780-781, and you can be the first to know. We appreciate you, and we have a lot to go over. So we're going to cover hot or cold for free agents coming up later in the show. We are going to work through the Myles Garrett question. A lot of pressure in Kansas City to try to upgrade something. Is that the right way to go? That's coming up in a little bit. But we start at what is, for me, job number one this offseason to determine what the real option is at left tackle. I was hit this week by, quite frankly, something that had slipped my mind, that the Chiefs have started a different left tackle in every Super Bowl that they've been in since Patrick Mahomes took over this team. And that is creepy bad, worse than I had imagined it, and tells you about the lack of continuity being almost foreseeable to lead to this latest outcome when you don't have that position, arguably the second most important position on the offense, squared away for the long term.
Yeah, and it's something that they tried to find somebody. They tried to go get Trent Williams a couple of years ago. Didn't work out. They brought in Orlando Brown. Didn't work out. They drafted Kingsley Suamataia. It hasn't worked out yet. I'm not going to say it's over because I don't think that's fair to a kid that's 21 years old or was 21 years old. I don't know if he's turned 22 yet, but was 21 when he was drafted. So I do think that there's still a question whether or not he can play in the NFL. Whether or not that's going to be left tackle is going to be a question that we'll have to figure out in the coming weeks. But the reality is they've tried to find somebody at the left tackle position. They can't find somebody at the left tackle position, and it's really hurt them the past couple of seasons. I mean, yeah, they got to a Super Bowl. Yeah, they won a Super Bowl with a bad left tackle situation. They went back to a Super Bowl again this year with another bad left tackle situation, and that's not a shot at Joe Thuney. He's not a left tackle. He doesn't have, and right. The bigger thing is he doesn't have the arm length for it. Like, that is a huge deal. People don't understand how big of a deal that really is when you start talking about those guys that are out there rushing the passer that have huge long arms and not being able to get your arms on them because they're able to hold you off because their arms are 4 or 5 inches longer than yours. That's a big deal.
It certainly is. And it was never more evident than the long arm moves that you got repeatedly from Josh Sweat in that Super Bowl that just left you shrugging your shoulders because there's nothing Joe Thuney can do about his arm length. You can't train that. You can't put in extra effort. There's nothing you can do work ethic-wise to make yourself better. No.
Yeah, nothing with technique you can do. It's just you're in a bad situation. But the reality is they need to fix that, and it's not – Andy needed to adjust. And I'm not saying necessarily just changing the player, although I would have done that. But if you're going to put somebody out there that can't do what you're asking them to do, you need to adjust what you're doing in the game plan, and you need to go away from what you're doing. And they didn't do that. So I hope he figures that out on the offseason because that's huge too.
I agree with you. It's difficult to think that they have something right now that is ready to go, but we do need to look at the options that they have currently under contract. And it's a thin group. Obviously, Jawan Taylor's going to be on the other side. A lot of talk about him. You mentioned Kingsley Suamataia, and I agree with you. I don't think that book is written yet. But after what you've seen to this point, I don't know that you can put your faith in that is a done deal. There has to be competition for Kingsley. I would like to see him earn that role, but you can't go into it as if he is going to be the left tackle.
No, you can't. And I will say, you said that Jawan Taylor is going to be the right tackle. I'm not 100% sold on that. I think that there was a point when they were considering having him be the left tackle when they first signed him, and then they went and they got, they went and they got who they got, and Donovan Smith and Wanya Morris, and so to me, I think that was one of those things where they thought it would work, and it didn't work out the way they wanted it to, but it is what it is at this point. So to me, how are you going to adjust? How are you going to go and to deal with it going forward is the big question. They have to, I think, go in and draft somebody. I do think that they have a much better idea as to where Kingsley Suamati is. The other guy that you would have to mention in that list is Wanya Morris. You have a very good idea where he is. But the question I have when it comes to
he's
Morris,
on the bench because he was a healthy scratch down the stretch of the season.
But was he healthy? That's the thing that really throws me off, because it doesn't make sense to me why they would continue putting him out there on a regular basis and then have him sit.
I can only make an assumption, not on the injury report, not any report of him not being able to practice. So I have to think it was a healthy scratch. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something hidden underneath that.
Well, that sounds very conspiracy theorist, and I don't want to go down that route. But I mean, I just don't know what to think, because they had him start at times, and then all of a sudden they went to Joe Thuney and they wouldn't go back. And Thuney is valuable, and I love him having on the roster, and I hope that he's able to come back in 2025. And I'm sure the Chiefs are going to try to find a way to get it done, because they voted him MVP. They obviously think he has value to this team. And I'm sure Mahomes wants him back. The big question with him is, does he want to continue playing? Because he is up there in age too. He could decide, I'm good. I'm retiring.
Right. I made it through a torn pec to get back and still played really, really well. I think I'll call it on a high. So let's just run it down like this. Chew Godric is not a real option at left tackle. Ethan Driscoll is really a right tackle, and I don't even know that he's ready for playing time. Could he be a swing? Possibly. He's not a real option. I'm calling Wanya Morris not an option at left tackle because of the way the season ended and because of the play that we saw. DJ Humphries, I don't think, because he never got on the field, that they're going to bring him back on another contract. I think that was an effort, a stab in the dark to try to see if it could work. I don't think they have interest in bringing him back. I don't think that he's a real option either.
I'm not sold on that. I think that I'm not going to say he's a great option. I would say that he's coming back from an ACL injury and they took a shot and it didn't work out. Is it possible they think that it's, another 6 months down the line, he's going to be a lot better and could do things? Maybe. I don't know. But they're going to have to pay him like he's a offensive tackle. So that's going to be a hindrance as well. So to me, it would make sense that they would go a different direction and not go with DJ Humphries. Their in-house options are extremely thin, if you even consider that they have an in-house option, because the reality is it comes down to one of two guys, Kingsley Suamati or Jawan Taylor. If you take Wanya Morris out of the equation, those are your two guys that could possibly be.
In-house is one thing. There could be some other options outside. We'll probably go hot or cold on them here coming up later in the show. But first, a lot of questions about solidifying the other side of the ball. Chris Jones and George Karlaftis seem a little bit lonely right now. Could Myles Garrett actually fit on this team? We'll check that out next. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get into it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place your live bets throughout the game, start to finish. Even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can get there. You can stay in the action. And if you want to go looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlay. You got to love that because it's a new aspect. You can just roll it into it. If you're backing your team for a late-game rally or picking up a player who just hit a three and you think he's getting really, really hot, you can do that in the app, and it makes it super easy. Right now, our new FanDuel customers are getting $150 in bonus bets if you first get a $5 bet that wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets right now. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL and the NBA. A lot goes into making a decision to add to Super Bowl level roster, especially when it's already a talent that is astronomical. we're going to go through that on one Myles Garrett. A lot of trade rumors right now, but if you want more information, make sure you check out KC Chiefs Corner and NFL 33, because I think the market in particular for Garrett is narrower than most people want to admit. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, given their cap space, as you said earlier this week about the numbers for the Myles Garrett contract, maybe that's tenable. A guy that's hit 100 sacks in this league, I got to think that a rework of that contract is something that he's going to demand. So I think there would be tension there. You tell me if you think differently. I think the biggest hangup on this is compensation in draft capital that the Chiefs don't have to give right now.
I would think you're right. I think that's a huge issue that they would have to figure out. You need a left tackle, and you're going to have to draft him early. So if you don't have a first-round pick, good luck. And the only way that you're going to get a Myles Garrett is to make a first-round pick type of trade. Is that something that they could do? Yeah, I'd say it's something that they could do. Are they going to do it? I can't imagine that they probably will. But the other reality is that Myles probably has a little bit of a decision where he wants to go. I don't think that they're going to just trade him away, because he has been a very, very good team player for Cleveland and is really, done everything that they've asked of him. So I can't imagine they're going to, send him off and ship him somewhere where he doesn't want to go. But I mean, it's Cleveland, so who knows? The reality, though, is you're right. I mean, it's going to cost a lot in draft picks. And can Kansas City afford it? Technically, yes. Can they afford it money-wise? That's an even bigger yes. But are they going to? It'd be fun.
Yeah. It would be fun. To put somebody of that caliber next to Chris Jones, knowing that George Karlaftis is on the far side, you likely have Mike Dana in between. Maybe you bring back a Menahue, who does seem to want to return here on what hopefully is a lower contract that they can afford. That's a pretty formidable front with a lot of length in particular. And I think I've never been particularly high on Garrett, because I don't think he's not the guy that wins as fast as some, but he is constant and he is aggressive and he is a guy you can continue to build around. It's just the age for me. If you're giving up first round draft picks and you can see a retirement from here, it just doesn't seem very plausible.
No, I agree with you. He is the same age as Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be 30.
Yeah.
So, big question is that something that you want to invest, multiple probably picks? I don't think one first round pick gets it done. Can he still play? Yes, he got 14 sacks in 2024. So he still has the ability to play. That's not an issue. The big question is he going to be willing to play under the contract that he's under with the Browns? Draft compensation is going to be an issue, but is his actual compensation going to be a question? And honestly, his salary cap number is only $5 million in 2025, less than $5 million in 2025. Any team in the NFL can figure out a way to get $5 million for salary cap purposes for Myles Garrett. Is he going to be willing to play under that type of deal? Because looking at his contract, he's got a base salary of $1.25 million, and he's got a bonus of $3.7 million. He's got nothing left in guarantees. He's got nothing left other than that. He already got a lot of money, and the whole reason he's so cheap is because they basically took his contract and they added 2 void years. Or no, 5 void years. I apologize. At the back end of his deal to continue moving money forward. So Cleveland is going to take a huge shot if they trade him. They may not have a choice, because if he's not going to play, he's not going to play. We'll see. The reality is he wants to have a chance at playing for a Super Bowl winner, and the only way he's going to do that is going elsewhere, because they can't do it in Cleveland. They have too much money guaranteed to Deshaun Watson, who can't do anything at the QB position, and you have to have a good QB to make it to the Super Bowl. So it's not a good situation for him. He's got a $10 million cap hit in 2026. None of it is getting guaranteed, but I think it's a tough sell for me, thinking that they're going to give up the draft capital, considering they need the positions that they need. Like, I could think of I think you could make an argument that they should be looking at multiple different positions for a first round pick. Obviously, you want to get a left tackle, and that's number one. But I think you can make an argument that you could draft another wide receiver in the first round. You could draft a tight end in the first round. You could look at interior offensive line because you're picking at 31. My point is you have no idea who's going to be there. You can try to guess who you think is going to be there and who can fit, but then you also need defensive tackle. You need another defensive end probably. There's questions at corner. All these different positions could potentially take a first-round pick. So trading away something that's not going to get you back 4 or 5 years, a first-round pick for something that's not going to come back for 4 or 5 years, meaning he's not going to be here for that long, I don't see the Chiefs doing it. Can they afford it? Yes. Will they do it? I don't think so. And it's not necessarily even the money. It's more the draft capital.
Now, there are plenty of scenarios, and we'll run through them next week about what some of those trades could look like, knowing that the Chiefs have basically 2 second-round picks at this point. A lot of scenarios there, but you have to have a player that you know fits. If you can get it done in free agency, it certainly helps you. We're going to play hot or cold on free agent. Okay, we're going to call this the off-season version of a game that we play where our in or out we play during the season, hot or cold here. And this particular edition is going to be about free agents. Some hours, some outside the Chiefs organization currently, and it's all about fit. And if you can get that done, it allows you to save some of those resources we were just talking about in the draft. So I will go first. And the player that I'm interested in here, because he's such a classic Veach guy in free agency, is a tackle that was selected in the first round, 10th overall for the Cleveland Browns, another Browns connection here, but just hasn't panned out. And rehabilitation is something I think Brett Veach really, really invests in. Would you say that the fit for Jedrick Wills is hot or cold?
Man, it's tough. I think that you look at it, and right now I'm going to say lukewarm, and it's because it hasn't worked out. Maybe it is cheating, but the reality is it hasn't worked out, and he hasn't looked great. And the fear is that you're going to bring in somebody that isn't going to be much better than what you've had. So I get why you're asking the question, and it does seem like a Veach type move, but I don't want him making that move at that specific position. So now that I say it that way, I'm actually leaning towards cold at this point, mainly because that's a position I don't think that you want to gamble on in that sense.
I agree. I mean, the man has no snaps that I can really point to and say, I have to have that. When I look, it looks like played in 5 games for the Cleveland Browns. That's not a roster that I think is so elite at the offensive line that it's prohibitive, right? Especially if you're playing on the left side and you got Joel Bitonio inside at your right hand, that helps everything. So it would definitely be a reclamation project. I have to call it that, but it is something that we could possibly see happen because I think the cost of a free agent contract for him should be pretty light.
You would think so. Just because of based on what he's been able to do. So I would think that that's probably a fair assumption that it would be pretty light on the contract that he could possibly get. I am going to look at this, and I'm going to go with free agent Mike Williams, former Charger, former Steeler.
I like Mike Williams' game, and he's certainly been able to hurt the Chiefs a couple of times in the past, which is generally something that I look for in a free agent. However, he does it in a way that does not fit the Chiefs' offense. The lack of targets and snaps for DeAndre Hopkins down the stretch, I think, really tells you that it's not DeAndre. It's the way that he plays. It's the close contact passes. It's the tight windows that this offense just isn't trying to do. And I think Mike Williams relies on that as well. So every now and then he'll get a breakaway, but I don't think he's a down-to-down fit in this particular offense.
So you would go cold then?
I would go cold.
Okay,
this is a tough one for me. I go back and forth probably on a daily basis about what I feel this is, but he's been a stalwart at times, a guy that you can rely on, a guy that leads on this team. He has a couple of ticks that are issues at times. And most importantly, he's going to be on his third contract. He's going to be expensive. Do you think Justin Reed should be back and his fit? Is it hot or cold?
Cold. And it's not because of Reed. I love Reed. I love what he's brought to the team. I will say when he first got to Kansas City, he didn't know the Kansas City way. And what I mean by that is specifically, you don't really talk in the press. You can talk, but you keep your mouth shut, and it's platitudes and it's a bunch of stuff that fans really don't want to hear. That's just the way the Chiefs do things. And it worked against them his first year in Kansas City when they went up against the Cincinnati Bengals. He learned from that and has since changed his tune. But the reality is that look at who they've drafted. They continuously hit that safety position, and none of them are the same type of player. I get that, but I don't see them bringing him back at $10 million plus a year. I don't think that they're going to invest that kind of draft capital, or sorry, not draft capital, that kind of actual capital into a player that, while he has a ton of value and played a ton of snaps for Kansas City, I just don't see them doing that. If he wants to come back for $6-7 million a year and he wants to play in Kansas City and he's willing to give him a discount for it, okay, maybe. But I don't see them paying him full price.
That makes sense.
So you think that they'll bring him back, or do you think that they'll let him go?
I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. It'll probably change.
A little bit different every single time, huh?
Yeah.
That's fair. I like what you said about Wills. The one guy that's out there that has name value at the left tackle position, and I talked about this on Monday's show, but I'm curious your opinion. Ronnie Stanley. He's a free agent. Left tackle, Baltimore.
I'm going to verify something real quick because I have a nickname for old Ronnie. It's not the most kind, but I want to make sure that I'm not totally outlandish with it before I go there. And honestly, I am, because I generally refer to Ronnie Stanley as old 7-game Ronnie, because that's what he's going to give you in a given season.
Yep.
The truth is he actually played the bulk of the season this year, over 1,200 snaps. So obviously the 4 years before that was 800, 600, just 68 in 2021, and only 300 in 2020. So you can see why I might get to that nickname, but did he turn a corner? I don't know that I'm ready to say that, but he certainly was able to be on the field. I can't give him a huge contract, but I can say that he has the ability to play if he's on the field. And with Kingsley already in place as an heir apparent or a guy that's going to continue to learn, I do feel like if he did have to miss 4 games, you could probably patch that together with Kingsley Suamataia until Kingsley's ready to be the left tackle, which I still think is a possibility. So on a 1-year deal, sub $9 million, I could probably see that happening.
I don't think there's any possibility that they can
I don't
get it for
either.
sub $9 million. 1 game in 2021, 11 games in 2022, 13 games in 2023, and you were correct, 17 games in 2024. So to me, I'd say that means he's not probably going to be an option. And I said this much on Monday. I don't think that he should be an option for Kansas City. I don't think what you're going to have to pay him, because he is a good left tackle when he plays. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good left tackle when he plays, but is he going to play? Yeah. And if he's not able to play on a regular basis, it doesn't matter how good of a left tackle he is, because he's not going to be able to help you from the bench. So I'm cold on that one. I don't think that that's a move that they want to make. So to me, I think that the best option is probably, without looking around the NFL right now, is probably going to be the draft. The problem is they're drafting at 31.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing people having them take a tackle at 31, and maybe they will. But generally speaking, if you're picking at 31, you're getting a left tackle that you're getting somebody that's going to be coming in that is at best got probably a late second round grade, if not a third round grade by a lot of people.
I will say this. I am absolutely 1,000 degree hot on this take right here. The Chiefs will not pick at 31. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee. Yeah, you're right on that. For sure.
With 63 and 66 in the quiver, they are shooting their shot. They will get someone. Brandon Bean, we're going to be on the phone.
They have basically 3 second-round picks.
Yeah, year. Exactly. And they will use those. And I do think especially if they choose to give away their second-round pick in order to move up in the first round, they can get to 15. Can they get to 12? Maybe. There's a pretty decently deep tackle group here. Are you going to get the top flight? No. They tried to do that last year when there was another good crop of tackles, but I will guarantee you this, they will not stay at 31 because that is untenable in any way, shape, or form for the positions that they have to have in this draft.
Yeah. And last year, when they tried to move up last year to go get a tackle, they weren't able to get it done. Obviously, they got Xavier Worthy. I think it worked out. It didn't work out the way you wanted to, obviously, but because you didn't get the tackle you wanted, but you did get a guy I think that is going to be a huge contributor for this offense in the next several years. So I do think that there's value there. And everybody that talked about his size and him not being able to play in the NFL, he didn't miss any time. Yeah, that's a big thing to consider. His rookie year, he played 20 games? 20? Yeah, 20. Well, 19 games if you don't count because I don't think he played any in the game against the Broncos at the end.
Okay,
or maybe it was 20 games. They had 17. No, it would have been 17-3 with the playoffs. So yeah, it would have been 19 for him. But reality is he didn't miss any time. He was available the entire season. That's all that really matters. And I don't even think he really missed practices. I don't remember him popping up on the injury report very often.
Agreed. It does look like he got snaps in everything but the Denver game. Yes, you were right.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he suited up for the Denver game. He just didn't play because they didn't play anybody.
Yeah. I think he got some special team snaps is what it was because he is registered there as playing at least a snap. So
fair enough.
Appearances in games. We'll call it that. All right.
Well, my last hot or cold. 20 games.
My last hot or cold for you is something that I do like to do from time to time when I'm experimenting with team building. That is steal from a division rival. And I don't know how much interest the Broncos have in this player, but I do know that he's 25. I do know that he can carry the rock. I do know that he can catch the ball, and I'm willing to give him a shot. I would probably be very hot on bringing in at a mid running back level contract Javonte Williams and let him have somebody else that can pound away at that offensive line. What do you say, hot or cold?
I love Javonte Williams. I've liked him in Denver since they drafted him. I think he's been a great back for him. I don't know. It's really hard, though, because they don't really spend money at that position. And are they going to give him – would they give him something like what they gave the running back a couple years ago, like $5 million? Maybe. If he's willing to play for that, maybe they would do it. I can't imagine he's going to be willing to play for that. And I also don't imagine that somebody isn't going to be offering him a starting position. Maybe he'd be a starter in Kansas City, but Pacheco's still going to be here. So I don't see that is going to be a great fit.
Okay. I got one more for you as a bonus just because I just saw it. Just real quick, hot or cold, 30-year-old Nick Chubb.
Does he want to chase a ring? If he wants to chase a ring, then yes. If they can get him for $3 or $4 million, absolutely bring him in. If it's going to be much more than that, all the amounts of restructures you're going to have to do, whether or not Kelsey's going to play, it's all going to come into whether or not they can make a move like that. Yeah. I don't think you can offer him more than $3 or $4 million at tops, unless you're doing like heavily incentivized deals. So base salary or bonus is going to have to be something that is $3 or $4 million tops, and then at that point we'll see from there. But that'd be great to have him here, to be able to have somebody
to guide guys, right?
Well, and be able to step in and kind of do the Kareem Hunt thing. And I'm not, and I they're different runners, I get that, but step in and being able to tote the rock. He's going to be 1 year removed from the injury. Over a year removed from the injury, that's going to be huge. He had almost no carries really to speak of this year. He did play a little bit, but not much. So I do think that could be an interesting fit if he's wanting to chase a ring and he doesn't want to, try to go get another big contract, because he's not going to get a big deal here.
Yeah, Agreed. And I think, what did he put up on the season? 300 yards on 100 carries. Not high volume, and maybe a year removed that could be something different. We'll see. We'll talk about Kareem Hunt next week as well, and whether a return path looks good for him or whether they're going to continue to look. A lot of questions coming. Make sure that you like and sub, and you're with us this whole journey through this offseason, heading to free agency, the draft, the whole 9 yards. We appreciate you being here with us today. Check out and subscribe over at KC Chiefs Corner, NFL 33, and RGR Football. Get ready for the athletic matrix because it's coming. The combine's around the corner. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next time.